the Craig Stammen news is somewhat surprising, but is it? Because with AJ Preller, there's often news that is somewhat surprising, and then that maybe means that it's not that surprising. So I'm reacting like each of you are. I don't necessarily know how to feel about it. I think it's worth seeing how it works once the season gets underway. But it's to some extent surprising. But it's AJ Preller, so maybe it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're what is the phrase that I always banter about here? I will never be shocked to be surprised, or there's always one of these lines associated with the Padres. I mean, what do you remember about Craig Stammen? I think that's the first thing, for those of us that have covered this. And by the way, welcome to Section 1904. Thank you for doing this on Thursday morning. But what do you remember? Like, because the things that I remember have less to do with his baseball. Again, we're all sort of just flying from the seat of our pants here. I do remember, I think he was tabbed to start the third game against St. Louis during the COVID playoff.
Right.
I think I have that right, that he was used as the opener that day when they had to pitch 9 different pitchers with Jace Tingler as the manager. But I remember the reverence that his teammates had, because the only time I know that I interviewed him, it was based on something that either Will Myers or Jake Cronenworth said, a quote of, "We really want to win for that guy." And they were pointing towards Craig Stammen, like how much he has meant to them. And I asked Marty Caswell, I said, can you book Craig Stammen so we can learn why his teammates love this guy so much? What do you remember? You were here for a lot of Craig Stammen's years, 2017 to 2022.
100%. I remember the same remarks that you do in regards to how others spoke about him, which is usually the good mark of an individual, what other people say about you. And his teammates definitely had his back. I do recall that. He was someone that was certainly well liked and I think appreciated, even though his role is one of those underappreciated roles, which is coming out of a bullpen in the middle of it, right? Not necessarily in the back end and not starting games. My first recollection, honestly, of Craig Stammen was working in the minor leagues. I was in AAA, I want to say, with the Phillies, and he was a Nationals farmhand and a prospect. In fact, I may have seen him as soon as Single A with the Potomac Nationals. I don't know when he made his major league debut, and I haven't looked. I wanted to pull up his baseball reference while speaking with you guys. I don't know when he was drafted and how he came up through their system, but he was a somewhat highly regarded prospect. I either saw him in Single A with the Potomac Nationals or AAA with the Syracuse Chiefs, and that's my first recollection of Craig Stammen as a player, and he had a very accomplished career. If you look at it, I mean, he spent a lot of time in the major leagues, has since worked obviously for the Padres organization. So he's certainly accomplished, and I think he is well liked. And now the question becomes, can you translate that and transition to becoming a good major league manager?
He was drafted in 2005, if that helps you at all.
Interesting. Okay, so he might have been in Potomac in 2006 or 2007 when I was working in the Carolina League.
Seems likely. He made his MLB debut in 2009 with the Washington Nationals. My take on this, as a person who has burned through several YouTube interviews with him already and watched a couple like post-game press conference appearances, is that from a personality standpoint, I think I'm going to love watching Craig Stammen do post-game press conferences and stuff like that. And it's because he speaks like someone with a lot of confidence, but he's not boisterous. And it's not the confidence where he feels like he has to prove something to you, or he's going to get defensive if you question him or whatever. It seems like he just knows who he is. He's a generally like happy, work hard guy, loves his teammates, loves his family, loves his life. And like, I don't think we're going to get the pointless, fights with the media. And I think he's going to be pretty open and honest with them, which is great. The other side of this is he might be a terrible manager. We have no idea because he's never managed before. He might be awful at it. He might be awful at running a clubhouse, despite the fact that he has that confidence and guys speak highly of him and all of that. And he's walking into a situation where, A, I'm not sure a relief pitcher has ever become an MLB manager, and B, he's walking in and they're handing him a team and saying, we need to go further than we did last year when we made the playoffs. This is a World Series contender. Get us there. Prove us right. And it's like, it's a lot to ask of someone who, like, A, has never done it before, and B, hasn't even done the, like, catcher thing of every single pitch of this game, I'm sitting here and I'm paying attention. Like, maybe he did that from the bullpen, but as a relief pitcher, like, you really only care about when you come in and your guys that you leave on base, right?
I mean, you make some interesting points. I hadn't thought about it from he's kind of maybe a 180 of Mike Schilt to some degree. I mean, he's in your organization, and it's basically AJ Preller saying, hey, I like the direction of my organization, or maybe John Seidler or whomever. And I don't want to completely rock a boat with a club that's won 90 games the last 2 years and has been in the postseason. And it sounds like from some of the reporting, maybe from Kevin Acee, that it appears as if they'll retain at least a portion of the coaching staff that Mike Schilt had, which is also unique because there was consternation between his coaching staff and Schilt. So is Craig Stammen just the continuation of Preller or Seidler's vision with a more modern iteration of it? Does he have some of the qualities that Mike Schilt didn't possess that will then bring the best out of the San Diego Padres? Again, nobody really knows, and some of it is wishful. And I think oftentimes, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, guys, it's like a quarterback. I mean, we give managers credit, we apply blame. They have a role. I'm 100% certain of it. I've spent my career in baseball. I understand there's a critical role they play. I just don't know how critical. It's hard to fully determine. But it's interesting that he's certainly someone that the Padres know. So to me, it's like the continuation of what they're doing. They think that what they're doing is the right path. They don't want to completely divert where they were going, knowing that it's still uphill. Just seeing what's played out with Los Angeles and how difficult these last two postseasons have been, it's kind of an interesting choice. And I think it's maybe, Darren, I'm curious to get your thoughts. It's a little bit of John Seidler saying, hey, AJ, I kind of believe in your vision. We'll keep it in-house, and let's see if this can further the process along.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a validation of AJ on some level, since this is a person who was a special assistant to the general manager. But, John G's point would have applied whether we were talking about Albert Pujols this morning, whether we were talking about Ruben Niebla today, or whether we were talking about Nick Hundley. And, it's the same conversation that's being had in San Francisco about the hiring of an SEC baseball coach, Right. So it just seems like this is sort of a bit of a trend in the sport, that they're not going out there. They're not hiring somebody who's got the gravitas of an Albert Pujols, but they are hiring somebody who has been working with some of the Padres in their minor league structure. So you would think that there's going to be some alignment there. Again, you could talk yourself in and out of this. I think John G's other point, though, is like, none of us know. You don't know. I mean, you don't know.